Hi everybody, and happy Easter. I'm going to be painting an acrylic on canvas of Calvary, and the best part is it's a celebration of our Lord and the fact that He is risen, and in Him we have our absolute eternal hope. So I hope you enjoy this painting, and I'm kind of free-forming it, so who knows what it's going to look like, but enjoy, and here we go. So I'm just laying down the sky now, and I love to do this kind of flip-flop back and forth motion with my brush. I'm using acrylic paint, and the beauty of acrylic paint is you can blend and have a lot of fun with the colors and the different values of the paint. So I'm laying down a sky that has a lot of motion. There's a lot happening. When Jesus went to the cross, a lot was happening not only on the earth, but in the heavens. And so I'm going to make my sky interesting and hopefully glorious to celebrate Him. So Calvary, I haven't been there personally. Someday I hope to go to Israel and see these places where this took place. So I'm just painting now from my heart and making up my own version of Calvary. I'm going to lighten by adding white as I get kind of further down in my painting. And I'm going to get all this blue out for a moment. And I think I'm going to add perhaps some illumination and some light that's going to be kind of rising up above, maybe almost like a sunrise, sunset that's coming up. I'm not going to do it too intensely. I'm just kind of playing with some warmer tones. Throwing maybe some orange and some yellows. I think I'm going to create kind of a hill, in front of a hill here. Going now with some earthy tones. I'm going to kind of calm this down in a bit, but I'm just kind of giving some warm colors behind this. When I paint, I just really kind of like to think of it as playing in the paint and not trying to control everything that's happening on the canvas so much. I like to do what's called intuitive art painting, where I'm just, again, kind of playing in the paint and seeing what shapes and colors, textures start to evolve on their own. And sometimes I even turn the canvas different directions and not sure where things are going to go or what it's going to even become. And not get too attached to anything that I put on, and allow for, as Bob Ross would say, those happy mistakes, and see where it's going to take me. So we'll keep going here. Putting some kind of richer, deeper greens down in here. If I add a little bit of this same blue, it's called Prussian blue. It's one of my favorite colors to work with. Prussian blue and green makes this really beautiful, deep kind of rich green. So I'm just kind of creating layers of hills, and I'm working with a big thick brush, a flat brush. I do most of my paintings with a flat brush. There's sure lots of different brushes out there, but flat brushes again kind of take some of the little tiny detail control out of paintings, and I just kind of let the canvas do its thing. So let's see here. I'm just kind of building a background. Going over some other colors, and it's okay to do that. I'm working with the paint's wet, and it's just kind of letting me do its thing here. Now if I put some white in, I always like to have a lot of white on my palette, and it has a beautiful effect of making the paint more opaque, or you don't see through it so much, but kind of giving it a rich appeal. And you can see how when I'm putting this white on the top of the hill, it's making the hill look a little more rounded out. So it's light against darker areas, gives that illusion, that 3D illusion of dimension. You kind of see how the hill looks like we're closer and then further away. So I could even, if I want, even go in with some brown and really start to kind of give a little more depth and darkness to some areas. Just depends what I want to do. There's when I have to remind myself, and I like to remind students that there's not a wrong way to really approach and create your painting. So in the background now, that kind of orangey yellow, that kind of looks like a horizon line, maybe even ground that's kind of continuing on. I could keep that like that, or I could, I think I'm going to get a little daring here. We'll see what happens. And bring some of this ground up a little higher. Bear with me, we'll see what happens. Who knows? I'm going in, some of those warm colors will still show through. Kind of giving a much larger hill for what's going to be where my crosses are. I haven't decided yet if I'm just going to do the cross of Jesus, or perhaps put the 3 crosses for the 2 criminals that were on Jesus' side, and one called out to Christ and knew that he was truly the Lord and asked for his forgiveness. And Jesus told him that he would be with him in paradise. What an amazing message to be told by God when you're about to meet your end of life. So, this is super wet, and it's going to be a little challenging to put the crosses on here without perhaps a little smearing, but that's all right, I'm going to go for it. So let's add on the cross that has obviously become the symbol of our Christian faith. It means so much to all of us around the world. This is super wet, so I'm just going to kind of cut it into here right now. it's actually kind of working kind of cool because it's so wet. It's really kind of taking on the appearance of wood. You can see kind of the texture just from the brush strokes. And I think I'm going to put thinner the other cross off here further into the distance. I'm using a little smaller brush. It's still a flat brush. And then the other one's going to be maybe down here. And I'll show you what I'll do in a moment with kind of the crosses in the ground where they meet the ground so they don't look like they're just kind of floating in space. At this point, whenever I'm doing paintings, I like to kind of get myself and remind myself to step away a little bit to see my paintings from a distance, because we start to look at things so closely, and that's not really how we view art in a museum or anything. And that's when we start to get kind of like, oh, this is awful, or I've made mistakes. But if you view things from a little further away or a different perspective, just like with life, then things look different. And often from a different perspective, things are beautiful. So now, like I mentioned, I'm going to kind of go in here so my crosses aren't just flying in the air. I'll do something here in just a second with that. But this is kind of a fun thing to do to make it a little fancier. I'm going to decide that the light's coming from over here. And I'm going to add this little white line. It's kind of a soft light line on one side where the sun would be hitting the cross. And it will give the crosses a little bit more of a 3D effect. This is just kind of a fun thing, is to always kind of in your mind say, where is my light source? Where's the sun? Or if it's an inside painting, where's the sun coming from, or the light that's shining? You see how just those little, it's amazing, just that highlight makes the crosses look more three-dimensional. It's kind of fun. And then on the opposite side of that, if I take some darker brown, and I'm gonna, again, this is really wet, but I'm gonna try to put a little darker on the opposite side and darken that up, then it makes it even more pronounced. So it's interesting to kind of play around with those lights and darks. It's just like in life, and in the Bible speaks a lot about the light and the darkness. And when there's darkness and then light, the light is even more pronounced. And they're both needed or necessary to really show the power of the light. And so they're a little more 3D than they were. Okay, now, guys, it would be fun to just leave it like this. It's kind of calming and peaceful. But if I wanted to go in and make this perhaps a little more interesting, or just have some fun with it, I could use a fan brush, which I have used with the kids quite a bit and my own artwork, or I could stick with that good old flat brush. And I'm just going to put some texture down in the bottom, just for fun. We'll see. You can see I even have this Prussian blue again. And I'm going to kind of go in here and have a little fun with the texture in this. You might say, wow, she just turned the grass blue. Well, you know, color in art is so fun. I'm just fascinated by color. What an amazing, crazy gift of God that He blessed us with color and all the different colors and how colors blend and work together. It's just, it's so amazing to me. We can look at it from a scientific standpoint, of course, and light spectrums and how color happens. But I know that ultimately and originally it was all created by the Lord. So putting in some texture, having some fun with it, some broad strokes, some highlights, throwing in some light blue there. This little cross up here is kind of floating out there by himself, so I better do something back there to texture. So I had that real pretty kind of smooth background, which was really nice as well. Could have definitely left that. But kind of fun again to play with texture, and I don't overthink my brush strokes. I kind of like to have some fun with them. And around the cross of Jesus, I'm going to put a couple more highlights in there. Kind of this flip-flop back and forth. So that's one rendition of Calvary. There's beautiful paintings that have been done for centuries of Calvary and the cross of Jesus. I think most importantly is when I'm painting this, I just like to think about the Lord, and I like to thank Him for being the God of creativity. He created us, He created the world, and He has made us creative beings, and whatever that happens to be, whether it's painting or music or cooking or writing, dancing, creativity has no boundaries, and each and every one of you are creative. So I just encourage you to thank the Lord for that, and find ways to glorify Him with your creativity. So I hope you enjoyed this painting. When it's a little more dry, I might put my little signature on it, and I may even come back to it later and add some more to it. But for now, I think I'll just enjoy it, and thanks for spending time with me. Happy Easter, and God bless everyone. Bye.